Wrapping up the 377. Good evening, YouTube. Here with you on this Monday. I want to say Monday? Monday. I'm pretty darn sure it's Monday. If it's not, whatever day it is, you know, it's that day. I've been working on the Model 377. I have it all back together. I tried to clean the cabinet up a bit, but I'm thinking it's maybe beyond the cleaning powers of me. I may spray some tough stuff on it. All I did was put it in the dish or in the sink and use some Dawn on it and a nylon brush, and I tried to get some of the bad spots off of it, but it didn't come off too well. So it doesn't look real bad, but you know, it is what it is. Also today I have been busy redoing the schematic for this version of the 377. I went through every part of it, compared with the old schematic. In fact, a lot of the stuff and you'll find on the schematic that I updated is the old schematic, and basically, other than the tube themselves, the numbers, and the tube pin numbers that were different, most of the components were the same. I did find a few updated components. Now, those who work with electronics know at some point, and I don't even remember exactly what point it was, but components were updated to a different set of common values. So basically, if you had a 0.25 microfarad capacitor, it became a 0.22 microfarad capacitor, and that was the standard value then. And just like there was a 30 kilo ohm resistor in there, that was updated to a 33 or a 3.3, whatever you want to call it, standard value. So like I said, there's standard values that are used now. They're basically the same, because a lot of these components, especially the capacitors, are 20% plus or minus. So you know, that really, you know, it holds up well that way. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is show you the finished, well, not finished, I shouldn't say finished, although I'm not going to change much in this. I did some checking while I was doing the schematic, because I had the unit itself in there looking, you know, for the pinouts and what was connected to what pin, things like that. Make sure I got it right. And I did some checking with my meter at the same time, and these precision resistors that are in here are all just on the money. I mean, close, very close. There's not enough, you know, they're within the 1%, so there's no sense in changing any of those. And I think we're going to leave everything else go. I think if I have problems with it, I can always change them out. Until I do, I don't think there's no sense in changing them. I'm not one of these guys that take every piece of vintage equipment and recap it without doing anything else. I mean, it's just, you know, to me, it's, the caps in here are in good shape. I mean, they're working, and I saw no harm on the scope trace, so I don't think there's a problem with it. And I'm going to leave it like it is. And you know what I'm basically doing with this piece of equipment is I have this, and I have the IG-18. You all remember that. I'd rather have the solid state. I like solid state equipment more, but actually this one is actually a better signal generator, audio signal generator. It has a better waveform. It has more, you know, it's 200K. It, like I said, it's actually a better of the two, but still, it's big, it's bulky, and you know, I don't. I mean, I've got a place to put it if I have to, but you know, I'd rather have the smaller one and have it. You know, even if I have to go over and replace some things on it, I'd rather do that, because I just like solid state equipment better, especially for test gear. So anyway, let me show you, I keep talking, let me show you this, and also I'm going to flash up a picture of the updated schematic at some point, and we'll see what that looks like, and I'll point out some things on that if I remember to. If I don't, I won't. Here it is. Alright, there we can see the 377, and really there's not much change since the last time you saw it. Everything's still hooked up, everything's still in line like it should be. Everything works. I don't have it plugged in. Let me show you the top. Now you can see there's a spot here that's pretty bad. There's a spot back here, spot here, there's one here, and a smaller one right here. Now those are not the greatest. I mean, they don't look the greatest. I could paint this. You know, I may do that. I don't know. It just depends. Also, if you noticed before when I had the front showing, there is 1, 2, 3 screws missing out of the front. I did use one of the front ones for the back because there was none in the back, and so there is 3 screws missing on this faceplate. So I need to find some of those. I'd like to find a pack of these, 100 or whatever, because these are commonly used on all Eico machines and some heat kits too. So those are good. So glad the knobs are good on this, and there's no problem with that at all. So, you know, happy with that. So, you know, this is pretty much it. You guys, this is what it's going to be, and it's like I said, I may try to work on the case a little bit more. I don't know yet, but even if I don't, it's working fine. There's no sense in beating a dead horse, as they say. So I think instead of I think I'm going to put it up on the bench and use it, and for a while until I get the IG-18 done and see what that does as far as how it looks. And really, I think the rest of the what's left on the IG-18 is cosmetic. I mean, I want to paint those top and bottom, put new feet on it, things like that. That's really all it needs. But like I said, it's not as stable as this one. I can tell you that right now. This one's rock steady, and that IG-18, you know, I had to play with it to get it to the sine wave and things like that. But like I say, we'll see. But also, I want to put up the schematic that I drew up for this, and I'm going to do that. And I'll probably use my microphone in my chair to give you some comments of that while I do it. So let's get to that. Alright, what we can see here is the updated schematic that I have made. One of the main changes that you'll notice from the older version is the use of silicone diodes here as opposed to a tube rectifier. It's in a full wave configuration. I couldn't think of the word, with the center tapped transformer. And so if we look here, this here is an addition to the old one. This was not in the old one. There's a 100 watt, 100 ohm, 2 watt. Man, I can't talk. 2 watt resistor here to Bob says to cut down on surge voltage. It's going to cut down the voltage a little bit too, because these don't have the voltage drop that a tube would have. Here's your 4 tubes in the configuration here. They're all corrected on the tube numbers, pin numbers, and they are listed down below. So as to how they are, this is your B plus line, 290 volts. It cuts off here, goes through a 1K resistor here, and like I said, those are all B plus voltages there. And here your B minus, or your ground. You can see it is a ground symbol here. Ground goes across here, ground bus, whatever you want to call that thing. And we're going to start out over here at the first tube, which is the 6J or 6SJ7. Now this is the same tube that was in the original one, the older version, and so nothing around this is basically changed. This whole circuit in this area here is all the same as it was. It doesn't really change until it goes into the coupling cap for the next stage, which is instead of a 0.5, it's 0.47 microfarad. And that's not a real big change, but it was a change. So let's see now the pin numbers. Again, all these pin numbers have been updated to reflect the actual tube that's in there. So everything should be the same. The light bulb for the stabilization doesn't change any at all that I know of. And there's a change here where this says 33K. This was a 30K on the old one, and it was updated to the more modern values that are used. And let's see, this nothing changed there, nothing changed there. This was the change right here. Now this was originally in the older version of 0.25 microfarad, and this is a 0.22. This is again the more modern standard values that they're using for this. So again, the tube numbers have been updated, and everything really else is remaining the same. The configuration of the switch, everything is basically the same as it was, and your volume control is the same. Everything's pretty much the same as it was. This again is another 22 here. This was changed from a 25. There was a 25 in originally, I think, and so that's just changed. And now there is one addition that was not on either thing, and this is it right here. This is a disc capacitor, a disc ceramic, whatever you want to call it, and it goes basically from pin 6 and pin 5, which are tied together on this tube, and goes to ground. Now Bob says that's to keep the tube from oscillating, which it makes sense. But it's a 1500 microfarad or picofarad, and that's what that is. So everything else is the same. Again, I changed the designation down here to late version, and so I think it looks pretty darn good, and I think it's correct, and I'm happy with that. And like I said, I did upload this to Antique Radio forums, and if anyone else can make use of it, that'd be good. It wasn't a lot of work, but took me most of the afternoon to do it between me and Bob. Bob was texting his support, but he's helpful as always. So, all right, gonna do that, and we'll get back to the other video. All right, now you guys have seen the completed 377, and you've also seen my little explanation of my schematic that I drew up. And I also posted that on the Antique Radio forums for anyone that had the same problem that I did with this, as far as not having the right schematic. And maybe somebody else will find that and use it. That'd be nice. I'd like to find a way to actually make a new manual up and use that schematic, or add that. Basically, I think I just add that schematic to it. And instead of having, because there's a couple of versions of the manuals are going around that have like 3 or 4 versions of this schematic in them, because there was a change made from a 4-gang tuning capacitor to the 2-gang tuning capacitor that I have, and some of the other components were changed at that time too. And then later on they made the other change. The one that I have is the miniature. They went to the miniature tubes. And of course it still uses the 2-gang tuning capacitor. So, but anyway, that would be nice to just add that as the late version, or later version, or whatever. That'd be kind of nice to add that, so people will be able to have that. If I can figure out a way to do a PDF like that, I may do that. But otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I think that's about it. We were supposed to have a Bible study today, and my daughter didn't feel well, so we didn't have that. So that will have to wait. Nothing much else going on. I did eat out tonight. I had $4 left on a gift card for KFC, and I like their famous bowl $5 fill-ups for about $5.50. You get the famous bowl, you get medium diet Pepsi, you get a cookie for dessert, and that's a pretty good meal. And so it only cost me like $1, over $1 to get that. So I went ahead and got that, and so that's about it for that. So I think that's going to do it for this time. You guys have a great evening. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you.